Welcome, I'm Jill Menze. I'm news editor at PhocusWire, and I'm joined here with our next guest. We have James Cassidy, who is Senior Director for Partner Success for Vacation Rentals in EMEA at Expedia Group. And we're here today to talk about security issues in rentals. So thank you, James, so much for joining us today.
Pleasure, Jill. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, good morning.
Wherever we are in the world, yes. So let's start off by simply identifying what some of the main concerns are with regards to security in vacation rentals, if you can explain some of those a bit.
Yeah, sure. And I'll start, of course, by saying that Expedia Group and Verbo, has 25 years experience helping travelers have amazing vacation experiences. And in my 15 years, luckily, in the online vacation rental industry, we've seen millions of families and friends spend hundreds of millions of nights staying in fantastic vacation homes, and without any issue, of course. But unfortunately, it doesn't always go to plan, which is the topic for today's discussion. And when it doesn't go to plan, we're here to help each step of the way. And my experience when it doesn't go to plan dates back to 2006, when a listing was listed on our vacation rental site fraudulently, and travelers booked this property, unfortunately, and started showing up at the house on the front step and knocked on the door, and the new owners who just bought the house had no idea what these people were talking about. And so, my team at that time, we had to create the process, essentially. We worked through the holidays to help these groups out. We felt terrible. I wrote checks. We helped them find accommodation. And we worked very closely with cybercrimes unit in that city to give them all the information so that the police could track this person down. Now, good thing is that this person was found eventually, identified and brought to justice, and spent several years in prison. A lot's changed since 2006, where our processes are much better, our policies are much better, our protections are much more standardized for the travelers. And with the book with confidence guarantee, for example, what hasn't changed is how serious we take this issue. What hasn't changed is that we help the travelers throughout the whole process when things don't go well. And unfortunately, there are still security issues related to vacation rentals. We do still get the occasional fraudulent listing. And we'll go through some of the other security risks related to payments later. As an owner myself, we list our house on the platform and we rent it out. And as an owner, I'm concerned about the security of my property. Right. We're very attached to our house. We use it ourselves. And so I have a very strict policy against parties. I make them read my terms and conditions. I make them understand that it's not a party house. And we try and protect the security of our asset in that way. And I think it does work. I've had guests ask me to explain the unreasonable noise clause in my terms and conditions.
Right.
And I had to tell that person that it probably wasn't the right house for them to book. And this is a common concern because a lot of our owners do use their own properties a number of weeks each year. And so they are concerned about the security. So the communication that we offer the owners with the travelers is very important.
Yeah. That leads me to a question around, is the rental model, inherently, is there a different risk there because many of them are owned by private citizens as opposed to a hotel where you have an established or branded property? What makes the rental market and aspect a little bit more, I don't know if you would say prone to more different kinds of hacks, or how would you sort of view the two?
I don't think it's an inherent risk. Verbo has, established a very high benchmark in the professionalism of the vacation rental industry, and Over my 15 years, I've seen each year the professionalism grow. We have professional owners who have been renting for decades, who provide an excellent service and are extremely professional with their guests. Then we have professional property managers. The same is true for them. And we help our partners consistently. My team in partner success provide advice to partners on how to improve their professional standards year after year. And then we provide the protections for the travelers. And that's given to every one of our listings on the site. 2 million plus online bookable properties on Verbo all get the book with confidence guarantee for the travelers. And so I don't think there is that inherent risk. I would say that it's true for all of us who use online services for banking and payments, for purchases, e-commerce. When dealing with our financial security, vigilance is key. For example, I recently received a text message asking me to pay a really small amount of money to complete the delivery of one of our packages. Everyone's getting so many packages delivered in this time. The amount was so small, I almost clicked on it and paid, and so did my wife, apparently, I found out. And we just stopped short of doing it. And within a week, I read in one of the UK newspapers that just that text message, that example of smishing SMS kind of fraud, tricked thousands of people in the UK and cost some thousands of pounds individually. So I'd say that anyone who's dealing with purchasing online, or their information security and financial security vigilance is so key across multiple contexts. That's absolutely true for vacation rentals, as it is for so many other contexts.
Yeah, so what needs to be done, then, just looking at payments a little bit specifically there, what needs to be done to make that more secure on either your platform, just looking across the market, what are you seeing a lot of that kind of fraud, or what might need to be done to make that more secure? Are there new digital solutions that can better accommodate what travelers and providers need?
Yeah, I'd say we're not seeing a lot of it, but when it does happen to you, it's very painful. So vigilance is still so important for the partners, the owners and the property managers securing their own accounts, not clicking on links such as the link that I received and my wife received in a text message, and paying for things through unknown sources. So securing accounts is super important for the owners and the property managers. For the travelers, there's often a temptation to maybe take their payment off the platform. Some partners as a discount opportunity, avoid the fees on the platform. To be the norm for vacation rental payments. Payoff platform used to be the norm. That needs to stop, because that is the way that fraudsters can get paid directly. The big change in Verbo over the last probably 4 or 5 years is that payments now go through Verbo. And so we hold the cash until after the stay occurs, and we don't remit to the partner until after check-in. And that basically prevents the fraudsters from getting any money in the process, as long as the payments go through the platform. So one of the big challenges is changing that traveler behavior of seeking a discount by taking the booking outside of the platform. It's a real challenge because some people are used to doing it and have done it many times without issue. But that is the risk that we seek to avoid. And then in terms of what Verbo has done, in part thanks to Expedia Group technology, is we've implemented on our platform a fraud detection engine, which utilizes artificial intelligence, machine learning primarily, and that's on 24/7. It's identifying behaviors in various elements of new listing creation, in account behaviors, account usage behaviors, in communication methods, and it's learning all the time on how to identify potential instances of fraud And then those instances get presented to our in-house team of specialists. And, I just got an update in the last days from that team, and they said they're really impressed by the sophistication of the machine learning in identifying potential risks. I mean, it doesn't always get it right, but it's better to be safe than sorry, and it's better that team has the chance to check potential issues before a traveller is impacted, before any money changes hands. And that's a real evolution from what it used to be. In 2006, it was pure reaction. The traveller showed up at the door. It's how do we now get upstream from the fraud?
Get ahead of it, yeah.
Before any money changes hands, before even communication starts between a potential fraudster and a traveller. And that's really where we're focusing our energy, and technology and artificial intelligence is helping us be faster than ever.
Yeah. And is there a manual component there? Let's say the machine learning, an AI detects something, or let's say there is a problem on property, that there's something went wrong. Where does the manual involvement come in, or what's the breakdown between what's done via the tech, via an actual customer service support person or someone on Vrbo's team?
Yeah, it's evolving. Our processes evolve over time based on what is happening. One thing we've learned is that the most important thing is to adapt and try and preempt the issues before they happen. But the instances of potential fraud are identified and placed in front of a team of dedicated professionals. They review those instances, and they may actually reach out to the partner. In this case, may be fraudulent, may not be. The traveller, they investigate the listing, they investigate the communication process, they take listings down, and they do thorough investigations. Now, it's time-consuming work. It involves people. But we know how painful this is for the people involved. They're looking forward to their annual holiday with their family. They want to have a wonderful time, and we want to avoid all the instances where possible before a traveller is impacted or a partner is impacted. So it's worth the investment.
Right. I want to talk about fraudulent listings a little bit, either, on Vrbo or just generally in vacation rentals. I also apologize if you can hear construction going on outside. But, are there particular regions or countries or different attributes to where you're seeing more listings? Like, is it happening in cities with, particular regulations, or urban versus, destination markets? Is there any sort of pattern to where fraudulent listings are start to pop up, or where they might be?
Yeah, I mean, the machine learning kind of algorithm and program for the fraud detection engine we use is increasingly sophisticated and uses multiple factors. Now, those factors could include everything you mentioned. But if history tells us anything, if we think we see a pattern, it's probably an old pattern, and we need to move on to the next one already. There have been instances in the past where those sorts of comparisons have been made, but I think it's an unsophisticated approach, because what we should be doing is getting upstream. It's not about whether the property is potentially in an urban market versus a non-urban market. It's how do we identify, a set of technological footprints that tell us well in advance of listings getting in front of travellers that there's an issue here. And so it's that level that we're trying to get to. And when it comes to city regulations, we are as a company in favour of sensible regulations as they relate to the vacation rental market. We think vacation rentals have a wonderful impact to local economies and national economies, and we want that to continue. And sometimes things like licensing requirements or registration number requirements can limit the total number of vacation rental properties that are published in a potential location. Now, that you may think that will kind of help prevent fraudulent listings in that location. But that, in order for that to prevent a fraudulent listing, the registration number needs to be verified immediately on publication, and that requires a well-connected system back to the government that is policing or kind of governing that registration number. My experience with these processes is that the connection back to the government authority that issues the registration number is not as fast as it would need to be. It would need to be real time. And so, the license number would need to be kind of linked back to that system. And there's also public registers of these license numbers as well. And so the license numbers could be found in public registers in certain states. So it's not a precise solution, but it could be one way.
Right. We heard in the earlier session a bit about, using digital identity. Do you see room for that in rentals, or I guess, do you see room for that, and do you see that taking off in the near future at all? What would the circumstances be to start rolling that out in the rental environment?
Identity is a big focus for our product team. In the earlier session, blockchain was also mentioned. Identity for us is very much about the partner to traveler, the owner and the property manager, traveler interaction. In vacation rentals, like me, the owners love their properties and they invest a lot in them and have a lot of attachment to the properties, and so they want to make sure that the security of the property is protected, and so they generally want communication with the traveler, and so identity there, where you can identify the traveler more effectively, could potentially help that conversion funnel. Definitely. I'm not entirely convinced that's a fraud fix or a security fix, unfortunately, because the fraud doesn't generally happen with somebody staying in the property.
Right.
The risk is in taking the payments off the platform, and the traveler being convinced to pay via bank transfer to save 5%, and then ends up being that's a fraudulent bank account. That's really the risk. And so keeping the payments on the platform and partners, owners and managers keeping their account information secure, that's really the prevention of the issue here. And it seems really simple. I think the system is more secure than it used to be now that we take the payment, and it removes the incentive for fraudulent listings, because the money is going to Verbo and we're holding it until the stay occurs. It's those small instances where people take the payment off the platform where the risk happens. And so we message travelers consistently, please keep the payment on the platform. People might think that that's just because we want kind of commissions and things like that. It is the secure way to pay. We hold the cash. Your money is protected, and that is the safest way, and that's the way to stop the fraudsters from making any money.
Great. We're almost at time here, but I want to get one more question in. We've seen vacation rentals really become the hottest sector of travel amid this pandemic, because people are taking social distance trips. Looking at where travelers are booking, how crucial is it going to be for platforms to communicate this sense of security and trust to consumers to get them to book with the platform? Is that going to kind of determine the winners in this game in the long run?
Yeah, I think trust is absolutely key in building and maintaining trust that we have a good selection, trust that we look after travelers, that we have wonderful properties. And it's taken us 25 years to be in a position where we can report that we've had a relatively good in the travel industry since the last 12 months. It's a privilege and honor to be in this position. to be, kind of stewards of the brands that we are. It's taken, kind of almost 3 decades to get here. It's something we take very seriously, and we've worked hard over the last 12 months. It's been hard for us. It's been hard for all of us in the industry, and we look forward to the whole industry recovering.
Yeah.
And we absolutely need to communicate the trust and the improvements in our offering and the protections we offer travelers. One thing we're really excited about is all the new travelers that have started booking vacation rentals. And the fact that we get an average traveler rating of 4.5 out of 5 stars across all of our millions of properties year after year makes us feel really good about those travelers coming back to vacation rentals in the future. And when they have wonderful stays, thanks to our owners and managers, we're confident they will come back. But trust is absolutely key, and we'll continue to work hard to earn that trust.
Perfect. Great. All right. Well, we are at time, but thank you, James, so much for joining us today. And up next, we have my colleague, Linda Fox. So thanks again.
Thank you very much.